Hello, my name is Carter Easton. First thing I want to talk about is that technology is advancing every day. We're getting newer communication systems. We're getting newer, just all around technological advances in both the private sector and the government, military sector. This means that we get new threats every day. These threats, here's a quote from Leon Panetta. He was actually the former director of the CIA and the Secretary of Defense. He says our next major threat could be a cyber Pearl Harbor, and that the CIA, he's talking about the CIA and the NSA, are not interested in violating the rights or liberties of people. So I have some statistics by the National Bureau of Asian Research, which is a independent organization, nonprofit. They said that the Commission on the Theft of American Intellectual Property, that's a commission, sorry, is an independent bipartisan initiative of leaders in private and public sectors in national security, foreign affairs, and politics. They said that the growing intellectual property theft, mainly by China, is costing the U.S. more than $300 billion each year, and they recommend tougher U.S. action to address the issue. So both of these, the quote from Leon Panetta and the intellectual property theft, are evidence that we are facing very real threats every day. Here's another evidence. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, on February 25th, hackers took out New York City's government email systems for a week, and it's still unclear as to who or why. Our enemies are not your stereotypical illiterate jihadists hiding in caves. They are sophisticated, coordinated individuals who are linked via the internet to download information on our vulnerabilities. So the NSA is meant to be proactive, not reactive. We want to stop these individuals before they get their hands on any of our information, not after they do. And I want to talk about the Declaration of Independence for a little bit. The Declaration of Independence says that every citizen has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, notably life in the front. The government protects the lives of its citizens, and even though it might take some measures for what some might call invasions of privacy, first and foremost, the government is there to protect us. So, what I wanted to talk about next was that United States surveillance is limited, effective, and legal. This comes from Neil Livingstone. He's a writer for The Economist. He says, likewise, most Americans aren't terribly concerned by warrantless wiretaps of terrorist suspects because they believe that their security and that of their families depends on aggressive measures by the government to counteract terrorism. The government's here to help you. We're not here to see what you had for dinner last night. So, another quote from Neil Livingston, talking about the NSA is not invading our privacy. If citizens are not misusing the internet or telephonic communications or attempting to board an aircraft in the hopes of hijacking it, then they've got nothing to fear from government scrutiny. Ian brought up the fact that, and both enter, that the number of hop skips should be reduced, which basically means who the NSA can actually monitor. So there have actually been recently some reevaluation of these hop skips. So this comes from the White House. It's a fact sheet on the review of U.S. signals intelligence from a year ago. The president, along with the committee, reviewed Section 215 of the Patriot Act. Basically what that does is allows the government to data mine a huge amount of data from public phone companies. And they want to establish a program that preserves what the government needs without the government keeping the data. So essentially, they're getting the data, but they're not getting all your personal information, and it's a huge amount of data. And it can only be queried after a judicial finding or a case that's brought up that shows any sort of forgetting the word there. Suspicion, sorry. So back to the Hopkins. They reviewed section 215, and right now the NSA is only allowed to pursue phone calls that are 2 steps removed from an association, a number associated with a terrorist organization. Basically, if your uncle's coworker is talking with a known terrorist organization, they're going to be looking at you because you're related to your uncle. So in the same case, the review of the U.S. signals intelligence, the U.S., both President Obama and this committee reviewed the Foreign Intelligence Court, which monitors the NSA's actions yearly. They've declassified over 40 opinions and orders from the Foreign Intelligence Court, known as the FISC, to establish a panel, and they established a panel of advocates from outside the government to provide an independent voice on significant cases. This shows that the NSA is both regulated judicially by this court. And okay, I want to go back to data mining for a little bit. The NSA is not violating our privacy. The effectiveness of data mining is proportional to the size of the sample. So the NSA must sweep broadly to learn what is normal and refine its derivations. Basically means they need to collect a large amount of data so they can see statistics on probable terrorists. All right, and that's all I have for now. Thank you.